Welcome to Dan's Drum Clinics with Dan Shinder, with special guest Danny Olsen. Many styles, all levels, get results. Today's clinic is Drum Talk with Danny Olsen.
Hi, I'm Dan Shinder. You're watching me on Dan's Drum Clinics, and I have with me a very special guest, Danny Olsen, the drummer of Stonz Thro. And coincidentally, I've known Danny for 40 years. And we're only 30, which is really weird.
Yeah, amazing, huh?
We knew each other in the previous life, too. I guess
We did.
And the reason I have guest drummers on, if you're new to Dan's Drum Clinics, is because I don't believe that anybody can learn anything from any one teacher. Even though I've been told I'm a great teacher, I think there's certainly plenty of experiences that you can learn from that other drummers have and different styles that might be their forte that is not mine. And I also think it's fun to have guests on. And I knew you'd be a fun one because I've known you for so long.
So many years,
and
brother.
I know who you are and what you do.
Yes, down deep.
And I know where you live, too. So careful.
Yeah.
So, first of all, this is something that you and I have talked about for a long time. You know, the interesting thing about playing the drums and being a drummer is that unlike the clarinet or the guitar or the piano, if we both play clarinet and you play clarinet, and the three of us switch clarinets, well, the reed, the mouthpiece in the same place, the buttons, the valves, everything's in the same place. Same thing with the piano, the keys are in the same place. But with drums, every drummer has their own setup. And they have their own setup for different reasons. It could be for the type of music they play. It could be for the sound they're after. It could be for their posture. It could be for, unfortunately, not their posture and they don't realize it and they just set things up because that's how they thought they were supposed to set up drums and ergonomically it doesn't work for them. But what this is leading to is that Danny has gone over the years through a big metamorphosis. Huge as far as the type of kit he used to play versus the kit he plays now. So I'd like you to tell everybody about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, basically, I found out through all my years of playing, going from a huge kit, lots of rack toms, crashes, pangs, the whole 9 yards, that if I stripped it down, less was best. And the current band I'm in, we play basic, heavy rock and roll. So it's very important that I stripped it down to play big, greasy beats.
Right.
I'm playing for the song now, not for how many fills I can do or, how much attention Danny can get,
Yeah, and this is, I want to interrupt and just say, this is really important because I think the subject here that we're talking about is not just discipline, but self-discipline. What Danny just said is he's playing for the song, he's playing for the music. And again, I've known him for years. He can play pretty much anything. I mean, he can get on a big Neil Peart kit, a big kit like I have, or you saw maybe Gregorio Diener's kit, which is a Neil Peart kit, and be all over the place all the time. But the band he's in doesn't dictate that style of drumming. So instead of trying to conform his kit to that, or his playing to that with his kit, or trying to change their sound, you stripped everything down.
Right. There's times I want to go off.
Yeah.
But I've been in the current band for 4 years, and we have discussions about it. And it sounds better if I don't do that fill in that spot.
Right.
If I don't do that roll, if I don't hit that crash, it makes the song sound big and full and greasy. And let's all be honest, it's all about this. When we're playing gigs, we want to see heads bopping.
Right.
I'm all into progressive music. I'm into all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing right now, what I've been doing actually for years, is strip it down and play big. Because people want to hear this. They want to get the toe tapping.
Right.
I can be all over the map. You lose the groove, you lose the feel, you lose the beat a little bit. Unless you're, obviously get hurt or something like that. So stripping it down has really been important to me. And actually, I enjoy it more now. And also, I went to butt end. I'm playing butt end.
Mm-hmm.
Both my six
Really?
butt end, yeah. Which adds a lot of fullness, thickness, and just really heavy.
We're going to come back to, I don't want to forget, we're going to come back to that in a minute. Because that raises a whole other interesting topic that we're going to get into. But what's interesting is that, like I said, Danny can play progressive music. He likes progressive music. But this is another good example that no matter who your favorite drummer is, chances are they listen to and admire other drummers and music that are completely different from their style.
Well, Dan, me and you both know we were huge Bonham fans.
Right.
You listen to Bonham, any of the stuff he didn't play double kick. He didn't have a double pedal.
Right. He didn't need one.
No, he had a couple floors, a big, huge rack.
Right.
Look at Dave Grohl. His rack tom's this deep,
Yeah.
right? So, you can get a lot with it stripped down as well.
Yeah,
Buddy
absolutely.
Rich, all those guys.
Yeah,
played
look what they did with what little they had.
little they had,
Yeah.
And I mean, you just hear some of that stuff those guys did on that small of a kit, and it's amazing.
Right. And
So-
you all know, I think those of you who have been following Dan's drum clinics, or even if you look back in the archives, I'm a fan of a big kit. Like Danny said, I'm a huge John Bonham fan. He was my biggest influence. But I love a big kit personally for the style of music I like to play the most, because it gives me more latitude. It gives me a bit more versatility and everything. But for the music that Danny's playing now, he plays what the music basically is commanding. And I wish that I thought like this back in the early 80s, because in the early 80s, I was in a progressive band. And unfortunately, we were all into music that would have been real popular in the mid 70s. This is when I was in Opus One. But the music that was happening at the time was new wave and glam rock, and the heavy metal popularity thing was starting to hit, with Quiet Riot, bands like that. I was very stubborn. I wanted to play in a progressive rock band.
Yeah. You look at the guy from Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Very strict. Listen to any Aerosmith song.
Right.
Even the old Toys record. Toys and Cat.
Absolutely.
It was very stripped down and not a lot of fills, and just playing for the song,
Right.
which thickens things up and really makes it really good. So.
Right. Just people are going to see it as you describe it. So, but describe your kit to everybody right now.
Basically,
What's
I'm
the anatomy?
playing Terry Bozzio's old kick drum, which is a quadverb Remo. It's very old school, and it's deeper. It's a 22. It's got a lot of punch, a lot of kick to it. I'm playing a Pearl Maple Shell rack, 16-inch rack, 16-inch rack tom, and
I love that.
which is friggin' enormous,
Yeah.
and an 18-inch floor. And I've got my Yamaha deep snare, brass, and
another brass snare fan.
I'm a huge fan of them. They got a lot of crack to them. I also have a pork pie that's standard size, 6.5 deep.
And is it wood or metal?
No, it's brass as well.
Okay.
It's a replica of the Black Beauty,
Okay.
and it's got a good crack to it. And in fact, here in the studio, I've been using my Yamaha, which is a vintage, like 1974. We say vintage, 74.
Yeah, I know.
But it's got a gnarly crack to it. It just sounds really killer with a Black Evans coated head on
Yeah,
it.
I was going to ask what you use on your snare.
Yeah, I use a
Basically
Black
tops.
Evans ebony
Okay.
coated snare head. And I crank that thing up until I can't crank it up anymore.
Okay.
And I loosen the bottom a little bit to give it a little bit more bottom end, but that's still at high crack.
Right.
And I keep my toms really loose. They're not cranked up high.
On both heads? Or?
I keep the bottom loose as well.
Okay.
It gives it more resonance, and it just gives it a really deep, full sound. And with those size toms, though I'm not doing a lot of fills, there's a lot of flam stuff I do in there on snare, floor, rack at the same time.
Yeah.
That just gives it a really beefy, huge sound.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Going back to the sticks, I'm also an admin for the Facebook page Drums, Drummers, and Drumming. So I get to have fun and do posts on that page, and it works kind of like a forum. People get to admire from afar, or they can indulge and enter comments and discussions and things. And I did this post once where I posted different types of sticks, and I basically simply threw out the question: what do you prefer, wood tip sticks or nylon tip sticks? And man, talk about setting off a crap storm. It was like people arguing PC versus Apple, or Democrat, Republican.
It's all about
North to South.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And now Danny has entered a whole third species, and that's to play, as Neil Peart did for years and years, the butt end.
The butt end.
Now let me ask you, is it just the attack of the butt end of the stick that you like, or does it have to do with the different distribution of the weight of the stick?
It's not weight related at all.
Okay.
It's simple attack.
Did it take you any getting used to holding your stick backwards and having all the weight at the other end?
Well, what I do is I use stick wrap.
Okay.
It kind of thickens up
the whole thing.
the tapered end. It thickens up a little bit.
Okay.
They do sell. I think ProMark makes a full butt end with no taper on it at all. I've tried those. I didn't like them. I just didn't dig them.
Yeah.
Plus, I was breaking them. I have to use oak.
Yeah.
I have to use oak sticks because I'm constantly, especially at gigs,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
breaking a lot of sticks. So, in fact, at our rehearsal studio down the road here, if you look around me, it's like it's like a lumber yard.
Sawmill, yeah.
So I've been going with oak for the past couple of years, and I find that they last a lot longer. But the attack on the butt end is huge for what I'm doing right now.
Very cool. So far, what we've gathered are the anatomy of his set, the heads he likes to use, the sticks that he uses, them the way he likes to hold them, use them. the great thing about Dan's Drum Clinics is it's not to convert you to anything. It is, however, to teach some drum lessons, but also expose you to other drummers and the things they do, the things they use, the way they use them, and other things that aren't necessarily lessons, that are the things I do, the things I use, and the way I use them, to offer you some different things to try. Because after playing for so long, and hate to keep bringing up the same name, and I'm sure there's many more, but I'm going to use the example of Neil Peart. About 15, 20 years ago, he changed up his whole drum kit, his whole drum setup, because he felt like the setup he was using for years and years and years, he had sort of maxed out. He couldn't get creative anymore, couldn't get, play anything different. So he changed his posture, the way he set it up, he changed the setup. And that's kind of what these offerings are for. It's just so you can sort of hear what other drummers are doing and using that you might want to try. And it's just like anything in life. You try some stuff and you take from it what works. You leave what doesn't behind. However it suits your playing, whether it's the projects you're working on, the band you're working in. If you're not playing with a band or even other musicians, still just the way you like to play and the sounds you like to project. It's always just some new food for thought that I'm going to try to bring to you.
Yeah, and a big thing is kick and snare.
Yeah.
Those are huge.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, it's
right?
the nucleus.
It's the nucleus of
the drums,
of
which
the
is the
drums.
heartbeat of the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm playing an Iron Cobra pedal right now, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I switched over from DW about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I found I kept breaking the DW pedals in half.
Right? The plates?
The plates.
That's what I was doing with Speed Kings years ago.
Yeah, because I got a really heavy foot and I don't do the heel-toe gig. I'm always up on my toe all the time.
Yeah,
my heel never hits the pedal at all. I'm always up on my toe.
Same.
And I found the Iron Cobra, the action on it is just badass. It just shreds. And they're bulletproof.
That's
absolutely bulletproof. So
awesome.
yeah. So try them.
Yeah, try those. And pretty soon I'm going to be actually debuting a new pedal. I haven't even told him this, so this is news for everybody. This is a new pedal I'm going to be debuting and demonstrating when I'm in Arizona again next week at Phoenix Drum Company. And again, if you've been following, and if you haven't, you'll learn from videos that are archived that Philip Gelb of Phoenix Drum Company and I are very much into the ergonomics of drumming, the posture and things like that. And he has this new pedal that, I won't say too much about it because it's not in front of us, but basically it's to help you sit more, almost as if you were playing a double kick set with your snare in the middle, because most guys that set up like us, with just one bass drum, our bodies are turned, and it's not, especially when you get up near 50 like we are, it's not really the most healthy thing to play twisted like that. So this new pedal, the beaters are situated in the middle where you would normally set up your bass drum. You don't have to move your kit, but the pedals are here, the way we're sitting now, basically, the way your knees are positioned in your legs.
And for comfort, I changed a couple things a few years back. I started moving. My kick drum is not directly in front of me. It's at an angle like this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's right in line with what we're talking about with ergonomics.
Yeah. My kick is actually facing this direction. And at gigs, it's funny because the sound guys are like, why aren't you setting up directly face forward?
Right.
And I go, because I don't dig it. I like it like this. You know?
That's great, because setting up drums, again, as we said in the very beginning, is different for everybody. And don't do what you think is right. Do what's right for you, and think of your health, think of your posture and everything, because the more comfortable you are when you play, the better you're going to play. You don't want to end up like Phil Collins, be in your early 60s and not be able to play drums anymore because of back problems.
Right. And I have a tendency to hunch. I play into my kit like this.
He walks like that too, just so you know.
So I have a tendency to hunch over like this, and my shoulders are always kind of buried forward. I don't play in the straight up position.
Yeah.
My stool is the lowest drum throne you can get. I mean, I'm almost on the ground. Some people sit on it and go, dude, how do you even play like this? The reason being is I get more power out of my leg being closer to the ground.
Okay.
It's all ergos, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all preference. I mean, everybody plays differently.
Yeah, and our joints are different, our lengths of our legs are different.
And I'm short. Yeah, only 5'8".
Yeah, we're the same height. Well, I might be about an inch shorter, and I've shrunk over the last couple of years. I'm not sure what that's all about. But my father was only 5'8". Right. But my legs were 4 inches longer than his, and his torso was 4 inches longer than mine.
So everybody's different, and everybody's style needs to acclimate to whatever kind of kit you're playing and size and what have you.
Exactly. So last question I have for Danny, and this is a fun question to ask, because again, it's all about learning from each other, and I look forward to all your posts and emails. You can follow me on Facebook. All the information is always going to be at the end of the video. But I got to ask, when you're not practicing with your band, if you take the time still to practice on your own, or if you're warming up for a rehearsal with your band, what do you do to practice? What do you do just on your own, not with the band? I know practicing with the band is rehearsal in itself for a drummer, but on your own, what do you do?
Well, being that we rehearse twice a week, which is a lot for an old guy, and for any band, twice a week, and when we go to rehearse,
well, it's a lot if you've been together for a while. If you're a new band, practice 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're new and playing together, but yeah, you guys have been together. You've been with them 4 years. You gig all the time. Right. Yeah, twice a week.
But when I sit down just to kind of keep my chops up and just to get some groove, I just kind of come in and just lay some greasy big beats. It's all about tempo and rhythm. Tempo is so important. If it wavers at all, people notice it, and
the other guy's got to follow you.
Right, not a good thing. So I work on my tempo, maybe throw some fills in there, just kind of tinker around a little bit. Try a little bit of jazzy stuff, and just new kind of like over the top stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe do a little soloing stuff, which I'm not a big solo guy. I think it's absolutely boring at gigs. I really do. You know, when the guy's playing a solo for 20 minutes, like okay, you know, the average ear doesn't really want to hear that.
You know, he's right. If you're not a drummer, it's hard to appreciate that.
It's really hard to appreciate.
And even for some drummers, like,
and I do appreciate the solo aspects at gigs.
But I know what you mean. You don't want to project something that's going to be a reason for people to go get another beer, go to the bathroom, get a Coke.
Exactly. Which, you know, unfortunately I do at some shows. You know what I mean?
And that's when the band's playing with them.
So basically, when I'm on my own or whatever, and just kind of tinkering around, I like to do that. Just work on new like beats.
Right.
New rhythmical things.
New. No, wait. He said new.
Right.
I happen to know, I think I could throw this out there, as we're doing this on, this is July 18th, 2012. He's going to be 50 in about 5 months. And you've been playing how long? Since you were 10, since we were 10.
Yeah, about 10 years old. Well, actually, earlier than that, but I got my first kit about 8.
Okay.
And I had the monkeys on the front.
So essentially, and he still has that. You'll see it on the next video. So essentially, you've been playing 40 years.
Yeah.
And he's still talking about new.
It's always learning something new.
Right. And that's
you can't show me any musician that says I got it all figured out. Because I'm constantly learning and evolving. And you're old, in life in general, you're going to do that. You know?
Right. And hopefully.
Yeah.
You don't want to go through life with limiting beliefs, and you don't want to go through your drumming life with limited attitudes or limited beliefs in what you can do.
Right.
And you never want to get complacent, rest on your laurels, and think, well, I know what I need.
Or that's good enough. Or
exactly.
I mean, currently we're here. We've been recording our new CD, and we're well rehearsed. And I was, thinking 2 weeks, just focusing on, okay, how am I going to play these songs? And I realized, playing like I've been rehearsing them.
Duh.
Right.
Because you got that part down.
Right. But I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I can put in a bigger fill here or something different crash there. And the guys are like, no, dude. Just play it the way you've been playing it because it's killer. Yeah. So why change? Drumming is always a learning new process. And,
it is.
And I love it to death, and it's my passion, and I'm going to do it till the wheels fall off, baby. I ain't stopping. And like Dan said, I mean, I'm pushing 5-0. Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr is gigging right now.
Yeah, he's
71 years old.
Yeah.
71. And the guy's still out there playing. Granted, he's not, slamming.
But he's doing it.
But he's doing it. And I'm going to continue to do it. It's my passion in my life. And I love it. And I'm going to continue to rock on.
Thanks for coming on.
Love you, man.
Appreciate it. Love you. And thanks for joining me and Danny Olsen from Stonz Thro here on Dan's Drum Clinics.
STONZTHRO.
And it's right here on the screen. Their website is right there. You can find them on Facebook. You can find Danny Olsen on Facebook. And as he's been telling me for 40 years, it's Olsen with an E.
Not Olson.
That's right. So thanks for joining us. Check out the rest of the videos.